Filip Hrgovic got the job done. He eked out a decision win versus a very tough Joyce on Saturday. That was over a 10-round fight for a minor belt. Now, I must admit that up to this point, I really have not been a Filip Hrgovic fan, mainly because I've been critical of some of his technical flaws, and I was definitely critical of what appeared to be his indifference during his loss to Daniel Dubois. Hrgovic did not appear to listen to his cornerman, Ronnie Shields, who was giving him very sound advice, and he also didn't appear to be too upset that the ref stopped the fight when it was in fact stopped. To his credit, Filip did come out strong and land his patented jab right hand right off the bat in round one. Didn't hold back on that, but he also didn't punch himself out because Hrgovic, that was going to be a key factor. Hrgovic took the fight on relatively short notice, 2 weeks, from my understanding, since Dillian Whyte had to pull out due to an injury. However, when Filip stepped into the ring, I did notice that he looked trim. You could see it in his face. He didn't step into the ring, incredibly overweight, as did Martin Bakole when he took his short notice fight versus Joseph Parker. Rather, Filip looked lean and mean, even though he didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this fight. Now, that being said, during our live stream, I was also a little bit critical of Hrgovic's habit of taking small steps backwards and kind of putting himself on the ropes and putting himself in the corner as Joyce advanced forward. But in retrospect, that tactic does make sense for somebody who did not have time to put into full camp and may not have been in the greatest of condition as you would be if you had the full 8 weeks or 12 weeks to prepare for a 10-rounder. So the jab right hand seemed to be the bread and butter combo for Filip throughout the entire fight. He did, I wouldn't say take rounds off, but he did allow he did allow Joyce to continually advance forward during the middle rounds, and he allowed himself to stay on the ropes. But then in some of the later rounds, he did start pressing a little more. He did start opening up with body shots and uppercuts when they started fighting at a little closer distance. Now, to his credit, even though we know that Joyce is a slow starter, he did actually pick up his volume a little bit more during the middle rounds, but it just was not quite enough to secure enough of the rounds to get the decision. Joyce did mix up his jab targets to the head and to the body well, but we know he's looking for that big overhand right. He did clip, Joyce did clip Hrgovic with that short left hook, which did open up a cut on Hrgovic's eyebrow. That was the same cut that gave Hrgovic problems on his fight versus versus Daniel Dubois. Now, with that unanimous decision victory for Hrgovic, I think that secures his position in the top 10 of the heavyweight division. Unfortunately for Joyce, he did not look great. He looked okay. We would have liked to seen a little more head movement from him, a little more upper body evasiveness. I'd also like to see him avoid always slipping to one side and not the other, meaning he tends to move or lean over to his right side, but not so much to his left side. That makes it a little bit too predictable for his opponent to find where his head is going to be. On a secondary note, I was impressed to see Abel Sanchez, a veteran trainer, in Filip Hrgovic's corner. As I'd mentioned in his fight with Daniel Dubois, for whatever reason, Hrgovic did not seem to listen to veteran trainer Ronnie Shields. But I do applaud him for choosing trainers who are, over the age of 50, perhaps over the age of 60, because these are the types of coaches you want in your corner at the world-class level. Let's face it, they've seen everything there is to be seen in the fight game. They understand the arc of a fighter's career. They understand the arc of a 10, 12-round fight, even if it's a close fight. And at this point, they know how to motivate every different type of fighting personality that exists. So I do hope that Filip decides to stick with Abel Sanchez. I think that's a great choice for him. Now, on the other hand, I noticed in Joyce's corner, he seemed to have a very young trainer. I dare say Joyce's trainer might be younger than he. In my opinion, that is an error in terms of choice. You do not need somebody younger than you who's going to be more of a yes man, simply because they don't have the life experience and the professional experience to see where things are heading for their fighter, even in the course of the fight or in the course of their career. So I'm saying all this to say, well, the big question is, should Joe Joyce retire at this point? His fighting style is one that he counts on taking a lot of punishment in order to dish out a heavy shot. I do not expect Joe Joyce to turn into a Pernell Whitaker overnight, but I think he does need a trainer who's kind of read him the riot act in terms of just getting to slip or bob a little bit more. Even if he does it 10% more than what he's doing right now, that'll be a significant improvement. But at this stage of the game, you can teach an old dog new tricks. It's just a question of, are they going to be willing to humble themselves to do so? That's the unknown in terms of Joe Joyce. But again, I don't think a trainer who's younger than him can impart that or encourage that or draw that out of him. I think it takes an older coach, a veteran coach with tons of experience. So did you watch the Joe Joyce versus Filip Hrgovic fight? If so, tell us your thoughts. We did do a live. You can check that out on our channel. Look for the yellow thumbnail. Also, if you enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you know when we drop our next great content. Also, if you enjoy having conversations about boxing, please consider joining as a member. We prioritize our replies to members' comments. As soon as you join our membership, you'll become a white belt, and after 1 month, you'll be automatically promoted to yellow belt, then orange, green, blue, brown, or purple, brown, black, and coral belts, so you can earn ranks with us. Members also get early access to a lot of our content, and I do post members-only videos and polls every now and again. Who do you think Filip Hrgovic should face next? How about Joe Joyce? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.